Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be ranking the 9 Skywalker Saga movies from 9 to 1. 9 being my least favorite and number 1 being my absolute favorite Star Wars movie. Now, full disclaimer, this is only my opinion. I'm sure everyone has their own order in which they would rank these films, but I just want to talk about my personal list and what the movies mean to me. And you may see some trends as we go down the list, but it is who I am. That's where I stand in the Star Wars universe, and let's get going. So, number 9, The Rise of Skywalker. This was a bad movie. I mean, this thing was a mess. Now, take away the fact that Palpatine's return had no real setup in the previous two films in that sequel trilogy. It was just kind of shoehorned in there because reasons. The pacing of the movie is all over the place. It's very fast paced. They're using plot devices to get from point A to point B. The conclusion to the quote unquote Skywalker saga that this movie promised was just kind of disappointing. I mean, basically, all the legacy characters died, and Rey is a Skywalker now and is going to continue on, which, that may have been that may have been the best possible answer they could have reached, but there were better ways for them to get to this point. I was not a fan of the movie, seeing it in theaters. I just remember walking out just feeling disappointed. I mean, just like I said, bad writing all over the place. You have Hux betraying the First Order and a plot point that lasts like 5 minutes. That's all I gotta say. Let's move on. Number 8, The Force Awakens. Now, I was excited for this movie when it came out. I remember going to see it in theaters, the first Star Wars we had had in a long time. And again, this, in my opinion, is not the worst Star Wars film, but this is probably the most boring to me. The movie just seemed to kind of really drag, the opposite of The Rise of Skywalker, where it was going from one plot to another within like 5 seconds. This movie felt like it took 30 minutes for anything to actually happen. It just felt like a watered down version of A New Hope to me. I really disagree with their decision to not include Luke more prominently in the film. So just a lot of missed opportunities. The Force Awakens falls in at 8. Number 7 is The Last Jedi. Yes, this is not my least favorite of the sequel films, despite the controversies. I thought the movie had some good moments. Thought it was shot very well. The cinematography is top tier. But again, like the sequel movies, the writing is very inconsistent. I thought a lot of the choices were questionable. Not a lot of build up and payoff. There's either things that just happen with no build up, or there's build up to things that has no real payoff. So can't really rate that one any higher than 7. 6 is going to be Attack of the Clones. Now, I love this movie, but it's probably my least favorite of the prequels. It feels like it kind of drags in moments. I think the Anakin and Padme stuff is, we know it's not the best like acted moment in the movie, but overall, I think the Geonosis fight scene with the Jedi and the clones coming in, that's one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. But overall, as a movie, there's just other movies I like more, but still holds up pretty good. It's gonna go in the number 6 spot. Number 5 is going to be The Phantom Menace. Now, the important thing about this movie to me was it was the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I remember 1999 when it came out, all of the merchandising, all of the hype, seeing Darth Maul, it was really cool to me. So I think, despite the movie's flaws, which there are flaws, I think it kind of goes higher up in my list because of my own personal memories of seeing this film with my family when I was young. And Qui-Gon Jinn's one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. Just overall, just a lot of nostalgia, a lot of good moments in this film that kind of cemented in that spot for me. So, yeah, number 5. Number 4, we're gonna go with Return of the Jedi. Now, I saw the original trilogy on like home VHS when I was really young. This was probably my least watched of the three. I believe the first half of the movie never really like excited me as a kid. Obviously, the ending with Vader and Luke and the Emperor, all of that is like top tier Star Wars. So the second half of this movie definitely saves it for me. And it was a great ending to the trilogy. I think it really holds up. And if you're one of those people that would like to pretend the sequel trilogy doesn't exist, Return of the Jedi is the perfect conclusion to the saga. You don't need anything else. And I think it really ended on the best possible note that it could have. So yeah, Return of the Jedi is number 4. Number 3, we're going to go with Empire Strikes Back. This film, I think, was set up as the perfect sequel to A New Hope. I think the way that you kind of see Luke's growth as a character, you learn more about the relationship with Darth Vader, and you really see the Empire at, the height of their power. Even after losing the Death Star, you can kind of see what the rebels are up against with them just coming back and crushing the rebellion in a way in this movie. So really good movie. Loved the Hoth scenes, loved Dagobah, loved Yoda. A lot of really iconic stuff in there. So that's going to be my number 3. Number 2 for me is going to be Revenge of the Sith. I think this movie was peak being a Star Wars fan for me. That time period was just so exciting with all the merchandising, all the tie-in novels and comics, and really seeing Anakin's fall to the dark side, seeing the fight with Obi-Wan and Order 66, and all these things that we had imagined for so many years what they would be like. I think just getting to see all of that come to fruition was really the ultimate payoff as a Star Wars fan. So Revenge of the Sith gonna hold a spot as my second favorite. I think it really holds up well today, especially when you go back and rewatch the prequels and you notice things that you never really picked up on before. But yep. All right, the number 1 spot, as you could have guessed by now, A New Hope is my favorite Star Wars movie. It's the first Star Wars I ever saw. I think as a self-contained movie, it is the best in telling one full story within a couple hour stretch. If you've never seen anything else Star Wars and you just pick up A New Hope and watch it, it is a good movie. It holds up on its own. The characters were great. The plot flowed very smoothly. With the restraints that they had with technology and the budget at the time back in the 70s, I think it looks really good. I think they really did a phenomenal job of building that world, the Star Wars universe within a single movie. And it's just iconic to me. Like when I think of Star Wars, I think of things from this movie, like Tatooine and the Death Star and the Mos Eisley Cantina and old Ben Kenobi. It's just classic to me, and it'll always hold a special place. So that's going to be my list. Obviously, I did not include some of the outside of the Skywalker Saga movies, like Rogue One and Solo, or the Clone Wars movie from 2008. I may do those in a separate video in the future. I just kind of wanted to keep this with the 9 main Star Wars movies. Hopefully we get more in the future. And yeah, it's going to be it for today. Like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you check out the future content we've got coming. And as always, may the Force be with you. Now let's blow up that like button and go home.